and good morning, it's Vervain, and today we're going to be talking about Hela. That is to say, we're going to be talking about some of the major differences between Marvel's Hela and the Hela of Norse mythology. This is the second video in my Marvel vs. Myth series, in which I try to bring together my limited experience with the Marvel Universe and my slightly less limited experience with Norse mythology to kind of clue all of you guys in on some of the major similarities and differences between the two. This video is a little bit of a personal project for me because I do work pretty closely with the goddess Hela, and I think that the Marvel Universe presents her in a way that might make you wonder, like, why the hell would anyone do that? No pun intended. So one of the first things that you'll probably notice is that throughout the video I may refer to her interchangeably as either Hela or Hel. In the Norse mythology, both are correct. In Marvel, she's only referred to as Hela, I believe. And the next thing that I want to mention is the family tree. In the Marvel Universe, Hela is the daughter of Odin and Frigg, as are Loki and Thor. And so Hela, Loki, and Thor are all siblings. In the Norse mythology, Hela is Loki's daughter, not his sister, and her mother is Angrboda, I think is how you say that. But, you know, ancient Norse, not a lot of people speak it these days. And she's sometimes referred to as the Witch of the Ironwood. Hela is one of Loki's 3 monstrous children who were predicted or prophesied to bring about Ragnarok, the end of the world. And the 3 children are Hela, Fenris, and Jormungand. Fenris is the giant wolf, and Jormungand is the world serpent. When these 3 children were born, because they were prophesied to bring about Ragnarok, they were cast out, and Hel was sent to be Queen of Helheim, or Queen of the Dead. That was her, like, assigned role, because they were like, well, you can't be in Asgard, because if you're in Asgard, you might fuck everything up. And it wasn't necessarily, like, her fault. That was just the prophecy. It wasn't necessarily any of the children's fault. It was just like, this is the way that it's gonna be. And the next major thing that I want to talk about, and this is maybe the most major thing to me because, to be honest, it just seems silly to make this change. But the next thing is Hela's appearance. In Marvel, as you may have seen, she's got kind of a Tron-looking green and black cat suit and like some antlers that grow out of her head for a crown. And don't get me wrong, it's cool. It is cool. She looks cool. It's just not anywhere near half as cool as what Hela the Goddess is like actually supposed to look like. Which is to say that she is 1/2 beautiful living maiden and 1/2 dead, decaying, rotten corpse or skeleton. Because I work with her, I've carved a figure of her, so I've brought it to show you. And this is much closer to what she usually looks like. So we've got alive on this side, and then we've got dead on this side. Alive, dead, there we go, 1/2 and 1/2. And I just think that's so much more badass than a green and black catsuit with antlers. Also, like, I don't know where the antlers came from. She's not associated with deer or anything. She's associated with hounds. Her hounds are the original hellhounds. That's where the whole hellhounds thing comes from. I just can't imagine why you'd start with a character who's half living, half dead, all awesome, and then make her into a character who's like an all-living goddess of the dead and like kind of awesome. Okay, don't get me wrong, Cate Blanchett is fucking awesome, and I think Cate Blanchett did a great job. And I guess Hela is like in the comics, and so that's not like a movie choice to redesign that character, but I feel like it was a bad decision. That's all I have to say. I wish that it had not been done. I was so excited to see Hela on screen and to see like how they were gonna do that. It could have been the coolest CGI, but instead they just gave us some like kind of cool CGI with antlers. Sorry, I'm not over the antlers. They look cool. Again, like, I'm not trying to shit on it. Like, it's cool, it's just not Hela. That said, I am glad that they changed her appearance for one reason, and that is because they also super changed her personality and her motivation. And so I feel like if you're gonna have her be basically a different character than who she is in the mythology, then you should present her differently. And so I'm glad that we don't have more confusion than there already is, if that makes any sense. So as far as personality and motivation, what I wanted to say is that in the Marvel Universe, or at least in Thor Ragnarok, Hela is pretty much evil, like pretty clearly evil. She's very much like wanting Ragnarok to go down because she sees it as like, this is my time to rebuild the world the way that I want to. This is gonna be my queendom, or whatever you want to call it, and Asgard's gonna be mine, remade in my image. We're gonna do it. It's gonna be great. In the mythology, that's not at all the case. If you think about death, so set aside Hela as a character for a minute and just think about death as a concept. Death doesn't want anything. It just is. It's a fact of life. It's a fact of the universe. It's just a fact of the way that things are. Death happens. Anything that lives must die. Anything that dies had to have once been alive. You know, death comes to us all in the end. Death doesn't have a motivation. It doesn't want anything. It just is, and so it does. And that's much more what Hela is like in the Norse mythology. She's not evil, she's more like lawful neutral, by which I mean that she doesn't want Ragnarok to go down, but Ragnarok's been prophesied, and so it's gonna go down, and she's been prophesied to be, like, she has a role to play in it, and Ragnarok is also not necessarily good or bad in her view, it's just necessary. And so her involvement in Ragnarok is less like, I'm gonna lead my armies of the dead into battle and take over the world, and is more like, well, I guess it's time for the world to end. I got a job to do. There's only one story in Norse mythology that she really has like a speaking part in, and it's the Death of Baldr. And if you watched my previous video about Thor, you'll know a little bit about what that's about. If you didn't, you should go back and watch it. Basically, everybody liked Baldr. When Baldr was killed, Frigg, Baldr's mother, went down to Helheim to ask Hel, please, please, can we have Baldr back? And Hela was like, well, I'm supposed to say no, but here's what I'll say. If every living being in the world will weep for Baldr, then you can have Baldr back. And every living being in the world, except for Loki, wept for Baldr. And Hela was like, sorry, someone didn't weep for Baldr, so he stays. And again, it's not a case of her being evil, it's just a case of, these are the rules. He died, he stays in Helheim, you know, and like, this was the other rule that I offered you and that didn't work out either, so I think those are all the major points that I wanted to go over about Hela and Marvel vs. Myth. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you did enjoy this video, please let me know. There will be more in this series. I haven't totally decided who I'm gonna do next, so if you have a preference, Loki versus Odin, let me know in the comments below. I am gonna do both of them, but just let me know which one you'd rather see first, and that's the one that I'll do next week. Please do also let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about Norse mythology and the differences between Marvel and the myth. And let me know if there's anything else that you'd like to see on this channel. Don't forget to give a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe below for more content like this. See you next time!